But RG Firecracker, their synergy is actually pretty good. When you talk about an Evo Firecracker being behind an Evo RG, it makes it really, really hard to defend. So we'll see what we got here. Our defending world champion going up against one of the biggest content creators in the United States and in Clash Royale in general, who's going to come out with a lava early on. Evo bats from Mugi plus arrows usually means giant GY.
Yeah, it's been like 2 years, 3 years or something since we've had a meta where we can see 2 cards and just kind of know the deck from one of these players. So it's kind of fun to just look at, and I mean, it's going to be really fun for 1 to 2 months, and then we don't want it to hold that way. Wow. And right there, that's going to be towered down. Massive mistake. Gets the arrows out too early. And I mean, even if he timed those arrows, I don't know if he would have been able to stop that Inferno Dragon. A great first push from Ian.
I know, and I was looking at the way that the cards were coming out for Ian, right? It was like Zap early on, then the Lava Hound comes down, then the Void comes down to take out the Little Prince, which is then an overspend by Mugi trying to get the Dark Prince down to defend that Little Prince, right? So now he spent the Elixir on the Dark Prince that isn't going to do a lot. Then you look at the rest of the spells. Then you have arrows from Ian to deal with the archers, and then by that time, you know he's back around to Zap. You're just waiting for the Elixir to come in the tank. Then the Zap comes out on top of the bats. Now you've taken care of the Little Prince, the archers, and the bats, and there's absolutely no way to defend against that Lava Hound. And I think this kind of goes back to the point that Juicy was making before about this is why Void is maybe unhealthy, or this is why Void is maybe so matchup dependent, as you can see how it unfolded in this game.
Yeah, right there. I mean, just triple spells, as pretty as it looks, it's also just a huge risk to run triple spells this way. And right here, the Void cleaning up everything nicely. Inferno Dragon going to be able to take it out fully, and probably just going to need to use the arrows on defense, exactly what Ian is going to do. I mean, Ian should have this game relatively locked up. But again, triple spells can allow for some really awkward deck cycles for Mugi to make some sort of potential comeback. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and I think what Ian is doing so well is leaning on those 3 spells so much, right? The spell, he's never trying to hold a spell to look for a better opportunity. He's seeing an opportunity and then spending the elixir on it with the spells to get back around to the Evo or back around to Void, or make sure those arrows are available for the archers. And you can see Mugi just going, all right, that's enough of this. Let's move on to the next game. I think that's probably the best thing you can do in this situation. Again, when you talk about the way that this broke down in the beginning, it was just really brutal, right? To start to cycle more awkward cards in the beginning to save your air defense unit to then drop right on top of your tower so it can't be voided off the board. I think that's a really solid thing that you point out that is gonna have to be a factor if this is the meta that we're gonna live in for a while. So game number 2 here. Ian picks up the first game, no problem. And now we see going back to what has worked well in the past, which is Monk, Firecracker, Drill. Still, jury's out on Drill just a little bit, but I'd say Drill is at least in a decent spot right now as we've seen it win and lose today.
Okay. Sorry about that. My headphones died.
I thought you were just really leaving for that dramatic pause. So I was like, all right, I could live with this. Nice King Tower activation there from Mugi, using his Firecracker against the Monk. And Fishboy to snipe off that Firecracker. So RG going up against Monk, Guards, Ice Spirit, Log. Ian definitely has good responses here, but as I've said in the past, that Mugi is legitimately one of my favorite, if not my favorite person in the world to play Royal Giant. His ability to kind of digest the information of how his opponent defends and then every single time evolve his pushes is really one of the most fascinating things I've seen in Clash Royale. So we shall see here as he goes to really wish that he had the Log. If he had the Log plus the E-Spirit, he'd be able to take care of those guards. But since it's the Barb Barrel instead, not going to be able to take the shields off of those guards. can never really have a 1-2 punch in terms of spell value to clean up those shields. So those guards going to be really nice from Ian to be played up high every single time. And it looks like AC just doesn't want to work with me anymore. So I think Juicy's going to be joining me here. Juice, you on the loose? You there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, Andrew? How's this game going?
Man? It's interesting. I was actually going to ask you the exact same thing and how you feel about this matchup. It looks like Ian has all the answers that you might want going up against Royal Giant. You have a quick cycle, you have guards plus Ice Spirit plus Log, you have 2 separate buildings, a lot of defense. Does he actually have the offense, you think, to create some damage here, or is he going to just be defending against Mugi the whole time?
You know, that's a good question. I think that it's obviously here, there's a lot of defense happening, but, you know, he has good defense. He has guards. He has Evo Tesla. He has the Log, the Ice Spirit. But like you said, I mean, can he break through? That is the main question. The big problem is the Barbarian Barrel and the Royal Ghost, which are great counters to Goblin Drill. I think it's really going to come down to what Ian's big spell is. If he has a Poison or a Fireball or maybe even a Rocket, he has potential to get some good damage going, and that's what he needs.
And nice damage there from the Lightning, as we've seen the Lightning pop up a couple more times today, which really is only a handful of percentage behind the Void. So a little surprised on both ends, seeing more Lightning and less Void than I think I would have thought today, but
yeah,
you can see the Lightning being really effective here.
Yeah, this is just good to wipe things off the board. And I think the biggest thing is the tower damage on, or the damage on tower, like we talked about. Void is probably the first spell in Clash Royale history where you don't actually want to hit the tower a lot of the time when you're hitting something else. So I think that's why we are seeing less of it than we do on ladder.
And you can see every single time here, Mugi is looking for those guards at the bridge. This time, he was still able to get a couple shots, and he did it with the the E-Spirit, plus the Firecracker, plus the Bar Barrel. Last time around, he tried to get the Royal Ghost up in front of the Royal Giant. Didn't actually work out, but Mugi always looking to clean up those guards.
Yeah, and then the Lightning dropping down, negative elixir trade on the Firecracker, but it does get that damage in. Ian just now uses his poison for the first time. I love how Mugi's done a great job of blocking monks at the bridge this game as well. Barbarian Barrel on the right-hand side does not take out the Firecracker, though.
Yeah.
But with only 20 seconds left, I'm not sure if that's enough of an opening.
So we'll see here. E-Spirit comes down early, then the Barrel, then the Fishboy turns around. So great damage here for Ian. Firecracker from Mugi will connect on tower, and that should do it with the Lightning. As we go to a game number 3, Mugi bouncing things back here, running, in my opinion, my favorite deck to see him run, which is anything Royal Giant. We've seen Drill, we've seen a Balloon Monk, we've seen Royal Giant a couple times. So really curious to see where he's going to go here in game number 3. Bats early on, Evo Bats, and I think this is kind of what AC was saying earlier, is usually when you see Evo Bats, it basically just means Giant GY, but instead we see a Goblin Giant.
Goblin Giant in the back, Golden Knight from Mugi, maybe an Electro Giant deck, very doubtful, maybe more likely a Goblin Drill deck. I don't think Mugi's played Goblin Drill yet this set.
No, he is not yet this set. What are your thoughts on Golden Knight right now, Juice?
I mean, it can be that good. You know, paired with the Evo Bomber and the Tornado, maybe it gets some value here. Also, the Magic Archer Tornado. I think it could be decent. The biggest problem with the Golden Knight is the fact that as a tank, it really doesn't have that much HP. So the Dagger Dutch is able to burst it down pretty quick. Rather have a regular Knight a lot of the time.
And there's kind of what you were talking about before, is counter pushes with the Dagger Duchess towers can just be ignored. One Magic Archer shot comes in as opposed to, I think, 2 or 3 back in the day with the Princess Tower, depending on the health. And yeah, this is one of those decks where you look at and you're going to go, all right, this is the reason why Mugi lost, or this is why, you know, Mugi's a genius, and I guess only time will tell.
Evo Wizard, last card for Ian.
It's a heavy deck.
Yeah, it is expensive. I'm just wondering what the big spell for Mugi is. Maybe, actually, I don't think he has a big spell at all. So I feel like this could be difficult to defend these really heavy decks.
So that Rage makes quick work of the Bomber along with the Spear Goblins on the back. That is a late NATO, does get the King Tower activation. The one Spear just in time saves Mugi, or else that would have just been a horrible exchange. But Mugi gets a lot of damage in with that Golden Knight plus drill push. And Ian now down by about, I mean, he's just going to sacrifice that tower and go all in on the right-hand side. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though.
Magic Archer on the lineup here, trying to take out the Evo Wizard, Evo Tesla as well, trying to stun everything. Golden Knight has to drop to bring this Giant Skeleton backwards and take out the Evo Wizard, but the dash is not going to get the value you need. Tornado pulling backwards, Goblins trying to get the tower, but I think his defense is successful.
Yeah, and I don't know if that dash actually avoided the Giant Skeleton Bomb or not, but either way, a very clean defense here from our defending world champion. Drops one, picks up two in a row for the reverse sweep. And wow. Mugi, I mean, other than... the beginning of that game, game number one, was exactly, I think, what you were talking about, Juicy, with how all things can go wrong with Void.
Yeah.
If that didn't line up perfectly with the Void, the arrows, and then the Zap being back in cycle to take out all of his air defense units, I mean, I don't know if Mugi would have just won this in 2 games, but he's able to turn this set right back around and go for the reverse sweep.